Hello, and welcome to this Washwood Heath Multi-Academy Trust How to Use Microsoft Teams series. In the fourth episode of this series, we are going to look at the different features of Microsoft Teams in a live lesson. This webinar will make it clear to students the different features, apps, and icons that they can use when attending a live lesson in Microsoft Teams with their teachers. On your screen now, in this webinar, you should be able to see how it would appear when you enter a live lesson in Microsoft Teams for any of your different lessons. In the last episode of this series, episode 3, we explained to students and showed them how they would enter a live lesson by going through the calendar and then being admitted into the lobby and then obviously being accepted by their teachers to enter the live lesson. This would then enable students to get to this point and be able to see this kind of screen when they have gone through those particular steps. If you're unsure about how to get to this stage, please watch the third episode of our series. The key thing that students need to be aware of is that there is a toolbar at the very bottom of their screen which has all the different features, apps and icons that they are able to use in a live lesson. I am going to cover all of them, starting from the ones that are on the far left and then go through all of them to be able to go to talk about the ones that are on the far right. The first feature that I'm going to talk about is the one that is on the far left, and it is the timer. Now, as you can see currently, the timer is stuck on 0606. This is because it's a screenshot of how it would appear on your screen in a live lesson. When you attend a live lesson, you should notice that that timer is constantly running and will continue to run whilst that live lesson is taking place and will stop when the live lesson has ended and the meeting has finished. The next feature that you can see from the left is the camera feature. Now, this would enable students to turn on their camera in a lesson, and that's what Microsoft allows students to do. However, at Washwood Heath Multi-Academy Trust, we do not allow students to turn on their video or turn on their camera during a live lesson. This is why this feature is not available and is not highlighted in white for the students to be able to use. The next feature next to the camera is the microphone feature. This is also known as the mic. Now, currently you'll be able to see that the microphone has a line going through it. This is to show that the microphone is currently switched off or the person is muted. In order for a student to talk to their teacher or communicate with them, ask them any queries, ask any questions they've got with the work, answer any questions that the teachers have asked for them in the classroom discussions, or do anything the teacher has asked them to do verbally, they would need to turn on their microphone. And to do this, they would just need to click the microphone feature, and then what they should be able to see is that the microphone does not have the arrow going through it. It will just be illuminated in white, showing that they are able to speak and their microphone is working. It is very good practice for students to enter a live lesson with their microphones muted and then only to turn them on and their mics on when they need to communicate with their teachers. Once they've finished communicating with their teachers, they then need to turn their microphones off and ensure that they're muted and appear like how it's showing on this screenshot here. The next feature next to the microphone is the share screen feature. This has got a square box you should be able to see with an arrow going through it. For most part of the live lessons, teachers won't require students to share their screens. However, there may be times where the teacher might ask the student to share their screen in order for the teacher to be able to see the quality of the work that they've produced, or to be able to show them and see what it is that they've done in that particular lesson. In order for students to be able to do this, they would need to click the square button feature, which is the share screen feature with the arrow going through it, and then click the file that they would like to share with their teachers. And this would then appear on their screen and their teacher's screen. The next feature that you'll be able to see, is the one with the 3 dots. These 3 dots basically give students another set of features that they are able to use whilst attending a live lesson. For example, there is a feature that enables students to enter a live lesson and have their live lessons feed in full screen mode. The next feature that you'll be able to see is the hand feature. This is the feature that will enable students to indicate to their teachers that they need to speak to them. Again, it's very good practice for students if they want to ask their teacher a question to click this hand feature to show their teacher that they obviously need to speak to them or have a query they need to answer. When the students have clicked the hand, it will appear in white, and this will then appear on the teacher's screen and show them that they need to answer them a question. They need to ask a question to the teacher, or they need particular help or guidance on a particular issue. Once the student has then asked the teacher the question and the teacher has answered it, again, it's good practice for the student to turn off their hand, so again it appears like it is on the screen here. The next feature next to the hand that you will see on the right hand side of the toolbar on the bottom of the screen is the chat feature. Now, this chat feature would enable students to be able to communicate with their teachers through the chat window. This is particularly for students that are not able to turn on their mic because of the device they're using. However, it's very, very important when students click this chat button and they obviously ask their teacher a question in the chat, that they keep this chat very professional. It should only be used for learning purposes and the language should be kept very formal. When you click the chat button, students would then have to type into the chat what they want to ask, and then it will go onto their teacher's page as well as the rest of their peers page for them to be able to look at as well. The next feature that you'll be able to see is the participant icon feature. This just basically shows who is attending in that meeting at any one point. So students would be able to look on that particular feature to be able to see if obviously they're in the room and also who else is attending this particular lesson. The last feature that you'll be able to see is the red hang up feature. Students should only click this feature at the end of their lesson and when teachers have given them permission to leave the meeting. When students click this, this will then take them out of the meeting and they will then return back to their calendar page. It is really important that students do not leave a live lesson early, as they'll be missing on valuable content and valuable work that they will need for their studies. That is all the features that students would need to access and utilise when they're attending a live lesson. Finally, just going back now to review what we've covered today. In this 4th episode of this series, we have looked at the different features of Microsoft Teams in a live lesson. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found this episode useful.